All right, our next assignment. To get it started, you're going to do some sketches for me. And I'd like you to do them as 9 different boxes next to each other. You can decide on the format, but I would highly recommend squares. And think of this as a TV screen, and you're going to show, in a limit of only 9 panels, a transformation of something. Either a transformation of the setting or a transformation of a character, or some combination of both in those 9 frames. So here we have an introduction to a scene, and then a character in the scene, and then the character starts to have what are called action panels. Something happens to the character, it starts growing these antlers, and then the antlers start to grow until everything is consumed in white. So these are the finished storyboards, finished keyframes. And then it takes not just the finished keyframes, but a lot of in-betweens to give you the final animation that we will animate for online viewing in what's called a graphic interchange format file, a GIF animation. So to get this started, the only requirement is that you use at least one element that you've already created. And we have to start with a sketch. So I'm going to call this Carl Assignment 5 Sketch, or Storyboard Sketch. I want an 8x10 by 350 pixels per inch, just a standard sketchbook standard. And I want to think of what environment I want to use and what assets I want to use. And I could come up with new ones. You know, I could use the character I designed for the class and put it in a new strange environment, or I could use the landscape I created in class and do something strange to it, or use some new kind of character on top of it, like have Mickey Mouse exploring it. But I think I'll use the ones that are given. So let me just open those up in preview so I can kind of keep them fresh in my mind. Come on. So this was my fantasy landscape. And then my creature. So these are the 2 things I'm going to use, though I'm only required to use one. And I have to tell some sort of story. So maybe I'll find a way to animate the background a little bit, make the clouds shift and change color, make the lighting change a little bit, and that would change the background. So that's a transformation, going from night to day, or early in the day to late in the day. But I can also play with the character as the dynamic element, and I can make this creature kind of flap its wings, close its beak, blink its eye, shuffle around a little bit. There's some fun tools I'll show you with that. But it's not enough to just make a character move in an environment. I need there to be a substantial change, a metamorphosis, a transformation that happens. So then I might introduce another character or another element that changes it up. All right, so with those in mind, I'm going to do my sketches. And these do not need to be perfect, but I want to draw 3 squares next to each other with a little bit of space in between, so I can make notes and kind of see how each composition is working on their own. And then I want to do 3 stacks of those 3 squares. And this is the storyboard sketch. And why do we study compositing for so long? So that we can just make shortcuts like this happen.
Or you could just hold shift and you could just make straight, perfect lines.
Oh, I don't like straight, perfect lines. But you're right. If you hold down shift and you use the drawing tools, they'll be perfectly horizontal and vertical, or 45 degrees. All right, so I've got my storyboard, but I like the character here. I don't want to set myself up for disappointment. So your first scene, you have to establish. So the shorthand for that is EST, your establishing shot. And I want to establish the setting, and if I'm using a character, and the character. Now you can delay this introduction if you like, by zooming in on the setting or having your character fly in. But ultimately, I'm going to have my setting, which is this kind of rubble pile. I'll just quick little shorthand for it. The ocean, the clouds, skyline behind. That's my setting. And my character. My character is going to be perched where my character is perched in assignment 3. Bird. Okay. And now I might go to more character actions. So action 1, not to be confused with act 1 or scenes. This is all going to take place in the same setting, so all in one scene. I'll have the bird kind of close its mouth and flap its wings. And maybe we'll zoom in a little bit on it. I don't know. And it's good to write little notes here. Flap wings. Next one, I might have the bird shuffle its shoulders a little, tilt its head. So it's showing the full movement before something surprising happens. Gotta remember he's got this tail coming out here. And it's good to have these sketches to kind of remind yourself what you want when you're building your assets. Shuffle shoulders. It's hard to move the feet, so I probably won't move the feet. And tilt head. Okay, now maybe we're going to show some other things. So maybe the bird kind of hunkers down here. I probably can't fold the wings all the way in believably, but I can have the bird in kind of a more static pose. And I'm going to change the weather. So now the change is going to happen in the environment. So clouds darken. Okay. And then it gets dark and stormy. This is already getting pretty ambitious, but that's okay. So now our shift is focusing from the character onto the environment and the dynamic changes in the environment. And then the sun will start to break. And it's good to know kind of the middle of your story. That you want to be at least halfway through your changes. So we're going to have the sun starting to peer through and brighten everything. The bird's still here, hunkered down. And then just for fun, out of nowhere, we're going to have a big T-Rex come in the corner of the frame. And that means we introduce a new character. And very quickly, he eats the bird. And then we're left with an empty setting. Without a bird in it. And what's nice about that is that can loop pretty well back to this first frame. So I'll just kind of fade in the bird, or if I have time, maybe animate the bird walking into the frame or flying into the frame. But that would actually be quite complicated with the bird. All right, so that's my working storyboard. It will change as I build assets and I make little additions and subtractions, but basically, I need you all to have 9 sketches that tell us a story that shows a transformation. And then we'll work from there starting next class.